Calling the meeting to order. This is the regular Board of Education meeting of the Kaneland District 302 Board of Education. We'd like to inform all board meeting attendees that this meeting is being live streamed and archived for access at any time by our community members within 24 to 48 hours of the meeting's conclusion. And if you will please rise and say the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And a roll call when you're ready, please.
Mrs. Witt.
Here.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Here.
Mrs. Junk. Here. Dr. Lawler.
Here.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Here.
Mrs. Simmons. Here. Mr. Carey is absent.
With 6 members present, we do have a quorum tonight. Do any board members have anything from the consent agenda that they would like to move to new business? No one? Okay. Moving on, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented
So
tonight.
moved.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mrs. Junk.
Aye.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons. Aye. Mrs. Witt.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Move on now to the board and superintendent salutes. Dr. Layden, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, President Witt. Tonight, I am proud to introduce our first Kaneland student ambassador to the Board of Education, Lindsay. Your parents will watch so they can see you watching tonight. As you know, or maybe you don't know, but last year our board had a Board of Education conversation under a new topic to talk about student voice and hearing from our students, hearing from our community, and one of the ways to do that was to have a student representative or a student ambassador to the Board of Education. So we went through a process. Dr. Horn and I met with Lindsay last week and talked with her as we looked at her materials and her application. And we are proud to share that Lindsay will be joining us. Lindsay Yost will be joining us starting officially on the 26th as our first student ambassador to the Board of Education. I have a few things here I'd like to share with you about Lindsay that we read from her letters of recommendation and her background. Then I'll let Lindsay introduce herself. It says here that Lindsay is well respected and a great role model for students. She's kind, supportive, and a selfless student. Lindsay's the most qualified candidate to serve because of her background and her integrity and maturity level. She's outstanding leadership qualities and works with several peer groups. Lindsay has worked on the student council for the last 3 years. And some of Lindsay's background is that she served 4 years as a cheerleader, 4 years in the marching band, 2 years on National Honor Society, 2 years on the student council, 3 years on the student council. Probably taking away everything that she can say about herself. I apologize. Volunteering at Marion Joy Hospital for over 50 hours. A waitress as a job. Volunteered with Feed My Starving Children more than 5 times, and also volunteered for Meals on Wheels, Michelle, also more than 5 times. So with that, I'm proud to recognize and welcome.
Yes, like you already said. I'm so excited to be put into this role, and I really just want to get a student perspective in District 302. And I have been in District 302 since kindergarten through now my senior year, so I'm proud to be United, that is for sure. And I'm very involved in the high school, and I love this district. So yeah, thank you guys. I'll always be
You're welcome. Lindsay was here to observe at the last school board meeting. She's here to observe, and then she will actually serve as our student representative, as our first ambassador. We will work through the process of simple things. Where is she going to sit? When does she get to share? What will she be given? Reporting back, those types of things. And so I think it'll actually be a wonderful experience for Lindsay and for us, for Lindsay to see how board works. She's ready to move on to college in the real world, and also for our district and our community, hear from the student and background that she will bring to us. So, welcome again. Also, I'd like to take a second. I almost don't want to do it because once I'm done recognizing our new teachers, our crowd will quickly disperse. But I'd like to thank all of our new teachers for coming out tonight. So if you would differentiate from not new teachers and new teachers, our new teachers would please stand. I'd like to recognize you. You may be seated. You don't have to come up. You don't have to talk. You don't have to do anything. Just quickly share that prior to the board meeting starting at 7 o'clock, we did have our new teachers in tonight. We're going to do a meet and greet and get to know our teachers again, in addition to what we did at the beginning of the school year when they do their new teacher orientation. So with that, salute you. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for the work that you have already done, the work you will continue to do. As we transition, and I leave now, you are cute. I'm active. If you want to stay and have a cookie, please stay. That's entirely up to you. Again, thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Slow so damn time.
Slow motion walk.
That is okay.
3.3. So it's only 30 days.
Not an exam.
No, it's taxable. Yeah, not bad. We only had 2 bidders.
Really? Only 2? 26.
Well, it's short term.
Commercial paper. It's not more accentuated.
Okay, so it looks like we'll be moving on now. So that was the last of the salutes for tonight from Dr. Layden. Dr. Fuchs, did you have anything?
I mean,
Okay. Then we will move on then to item H, which is the consent agenda. Tonight's consent agenda contains the following action items. The approval of the treasurer's report from August 2022. The approval of the minutes of the August 29th, 2022 regular meeting. The approval of personnel. The approval of destruction of audio recordings from closed session meetings from March 2021. The approval of handbooks for support staff, which includes bus drivers, food service, and educational support staff. And the following informational items: the Freedom of Information Act or FOIA reports, the students and the student suspension data report. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
And a roll call, please.
Mrs. Junk. Aye. Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons. Aye. Mrs. Witt.
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Okay, we don't have any, this is the first opportunity for public comment. There are usually 2. There's one at the beginning and one at the end. There's no one signed up, but is anyone interested in speaking in this first public comment section? Okay, hearing none, then I'm going to skip my spiel. And we'll move on to new business, which is item 1 is the discussion on the master facility plan community engagement process. And once again, we have a board member that is absent. It was unexpected. He's not able to even call in. So in order to be consistent with what we've done for other absences for other board members, I move that we table this discussion until the next board meeting when all members can be present.
Second.
Does anybody want to talk about it?
Just that, is it maybe a good idea to put some questions out there for the admin team?
I think they already
Tonight.
have them. They were asked for them and to have them in advance, so they were supposed to be into them before tonight. But you have another week now, or another couple of weeks until the next one. So I think, because you did receive several questions, right?
Yes, I have. We worked through that with our architect, yes.
Okay. So with that being said, when you're ready, we can do a roll call.
Absolutely. Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons. Aye. Mrs. Witt.
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mrs. Junk.
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. So we're already at the superintendent and board report. You don't have any other new business?
I do not.
And
Yep.
do you have a report?
Yep, I do have a couple updates. To share. First of all, the Hall of Fame Committee met last week, and we are continuing the planning of the 25th anniversary this year. We had earlier in the summer, we did have a tour of the high school, and we did have a number of foundation members show up and a number of Hall of Fame members and Hall of Fame inductees show up for the tour. And then we do also have 3 other events planned to recognize our current inductees. So at our September 30th football game, we're trying to reach out to all of our inductees and recognize them in between games. We also have a winter event, which is going to be a basketball game, a boys-girls basketball game. The Hall of Fame inductees that can attend that one. And then also in the spring, whether it's a musical or a concert, we're going to have another event in the spring to recognize our inductees at that time. So those inductees that are coming from near or far, they can hopefully plan to attend one of those 3. And then also in December, our Hall of Fame committee will consider inductees for this year. So again, those 3 events are to celebrate our recent inductees or inductees to the Hall of Fame, and then our new inductees will still be considered later in the spring. Also want to share that this week is homecoming week. It's a fun week with a lot of activities. We do have list. This would have been a great assignment for Lindsay in the future, but our high school, we do have the homecoming parade, which if you remember, we rotate through 4 of our communities, and it's in Caneville this year on Wednesday night, followed also by Wednesday night for the Powder Puff game. The football game traditionally is still on Friday, and then the dance is from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And I do have a note here. If there's anybody that would like to chaperone, let me know, because we're always looking for dance chaperones. It's an experience you won't forget. So that's homecoming week. That's always fun. It's always great to have our graduates, alumni, families come back. Also want to share that on next Friday, the 23rd, so a weekend, almost 2 weeks from now, we do have our annual golf outing for the Kaneland Foundation. It has been shifted from a Thursday to a Friday to try to have more attendance, and we do have more attendance. We're up over 70 golfers for this year. And just as a reminder, Becky Greenlee, who's our executive director of the foundation, will be here. I believe it's our 2nd meeting in October, and she has invited our grant recipients to come and share. So as we've done in the past prior to COVID, we'll have hopefully a number of grant recipients come in and share, tell a little bit about the grant that they received and how they're using it to impact our students and their academic wellness in our district. Then the last item that I have for our next board meeting, I'm going to bring a topic that we have already talked about, but just a reminder, is the renaming of Meredith Middle School. It currently is not being used as a middle school, has not been used as a middle school. So we do have a new business item that I'll be bringing to the next meeting to share with the board a timeline and next steps in the process of shifting the naming of that from Meredith Middle School to something else. So I will update the board on our policy, what the expectations are of the policy, the naming conventions that we would use, the process that we're going to use from community input to come up with that name, and then be able to utilize that name moving forward to make it be more accurate to how it's actually being utilized at this time. Those are my superintendent reports. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Fuchs.
Sure, I have 2 tonight. The first one is the Health Insurance Committee met last Thursday. The primary goal of Thursday's meeting was to review the 2 new voluntary benefits that the board approved last spring. We are in the process of enrolling staff members for accident coverage or insurance and critical illness insurance. Unfortunately, right now, there's not a lot of interest, but we are going to continue through the 3-week enrollment process and determine whether or not we'll be able to fully offer these voluntary benefits. So I'll give you a report once open enrollment for these benefits is over. And then today I met with the security task force that is comprised of some operations people, as well as building SRO and deans and assistant principals. And again, one of our goals this year is reunification planning, along with the implementation of the I Love You Guys standard response protocol. And we'll be sending a message out in the near future to families, giving them an update on the standard response protocol.
Okay. Board members, anything? Okay, if not, we'll move on. Any topics for future agendas? Anyone?
Just as a reminder, we do have two that Dr. Fuchs and I are working on, one of them being the renaming Meredith Middle School, and the second one being a systemic approach to a pattern of the board topics that we have annually, board topics that we have monthly, all of those. We are finalizing that and should have that at one of the October meetings also, just to kind of walk through the sequencing, the connection, which are state required mandates, which are our topics. We do have that as a past topic for future agenda. We've not forgotten about it. We're just systematically planning it, and we'll be bringing it up. So thank you.
So this is the second opportunity for public comment. It came quickly. Shouldn't be. And there's no one signed up, but are there any public comments? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on. We do have a closed session tonight. We're scheduled for closed session where there will be no action taken following the session. After the vote to go into closed session, the recording of tonight's meeting will be concluded. So I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
And a roll call, please.
Dr. Lawler.
Aye.
Mr. Mankivsky.
Aye.
Mrs. Simmons. Aye. Mrs. Witt.
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Mrs. Junk.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
President Wood, do you want to state the reason for the closed session?
Oh, goodness. Yes,
Thank you.
thank you for reminding me.
Dr. Atkins.
Thank you both. We are going into closed session tonight to discuss under the Illinois Open Meetings Act, Section 2C1, which is the employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor, or a volunteer of the public body, or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. So I apologize that I didn't say that ahead of time, and thank you for reminding me.
Thank you.
So we are going into closed session, and after that, there won't be any action, so good night, everybody. It's a quick one.
I did not. Pretty fast.